Welcome, everyone. I am Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a tiny no airwalk, and this is my Dear Ivy show where I take your questions on any topic and I give you free advice. This show is a play off of Dear Abby, the famous columnist that if you're of the right age, you would remember from, 70s and 80s and 90s. So I love this show. All right. Again, it is free. However, donations are appreciated. And if everyone could, this helps me out too. Drop a comment to help me out in the algorithm. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. We're going to go ahead and get to YouTube member questions first, if there are any. So Jill, whenever you're ready to start popping them up, we can go ahead and get started. All right. First question we have. Everlasting Ev, how do I stop spiritual attacks? I feel so much. Well, I think, you have to not care. I mean, that's the first thing. And you have to really understand too, that something like a curse is not a real thing. I'd be dead long ago. So if you know that people in the world don't like you, and that's inevitable. Something like 10% of all people or 10% of any group or any situation you're in, they're not going to like you. Statistics show. The first step is understanding that that cannot actually hurt you. You can hurt you with that information. You can feel as though you're under a legitimate attack when in actuality, you're under the attack of your own mind. All right, your own inability to set healthy boundaries. So this is really an issue where we want to start breaking down ideas like codependency. Do you rely too heavily, or are you too heavily influenced by outside circumstances? That could be money. That could be, family. That's, people's opinions or people's intentions, world events. I mean, there are a million different ways that we can learn on a daily basis to block out the outside world and not become enmeshed in it, absorbed in it. But we can stay centered in ourselves and stay on our path and work only from that space. It really, at the root, is going to require a lot of mind control. So when I know, for example, that I'm under spiritual attack, some kind of psychic energy throwing or psychic attacks or spell work or anything, from people, which is constant, absolutely constant, given my field of work here. But when I knew I was in an environment where that was where that was happening a lot, first of all, I removed myself as much as is humanly possible from that environment. If I know there are people around who feel that way about me, I simply don't go around them anymore. And if you know too that you have maybe friends or family or associates that are in connection with people who intend you harm, are sending negativity at you, are talking behind your back, right? Whatever it is. And they don't stand up for you. They don't know to leave that situation or those group of people. Shame on them. And it's time to re-examine whether or not you should even be dealing with them. Now, I will admit, I know some people in my life and I keep some people around who like to be Switzerland. They like to play both sides of the fence, right? They sort of hold space for everyone, but I don't agree with that. I'm very loyal. And if someone I love or care about, or even just know, all right, is a decent person, if I know they're being betrayed or someone's attacking them, I will make a statement by cutting off or at least confronting whoever it is that's doing that. So make sure that the company you keep is worth your company, your time, your energy. Clean those areas up because it shouldn't be happening to you constantly like this. There should be adjustments that you can make. But above all, again, let's go back to the first thing I had to say, which is you have to not care. I don't care. You think, you could put out your wisdom to the universe. You can put out your opinions. You could just even be minding your own darn business and just living your life, living your best life. And people are going to attack you for it. They're going to be jealous of it. They're going to hate you for it, or they're going to disagree with you. And you have to wear your bulletproof vest, and you have to learn healthy blocking techniques to keep all of that out, and ultimately know that It is coming down to, again, your mentality, being able to control your mind and shut off negative cyclical patterned thinking that can run almost like OCD, like a mouse on a wheel, where you're overthinking it, you're feeding it, you're giving it energy, you're giving it attention, which actually manifests the spiritual attack in your life. Okay. It manifests the spell or the curse. It makes it a real thing. And you need to stop it right there. Learn the techniques to not only cut that off, but to replace it with a more positive way of thinking. And that's all we can do. Okay. For those of you who are listening to this question, you're saying, well, I'm an empath and, so it's worse for me. I would agree with that. I do have a class up on the website called Empathic Awareness. You can check out to learn blocking techniques and stuff like this in addition. But really, it's all going to come down to that one thing. Okay. Being able to identify it, to know that it has no power over you unless you give it power, and to stop it dead in its tracks, replace it with something more powerful. All right. We can move on to another question. Thank you so much for that question. We have one here from a Teresa. I'm trying to find some paper here. I don't know what I did. I used the front of like this entire booklet, but not the backs on anything. All right. Save a tree. So Teresa says, recently when communicating with spirit, I have been getting repeat messages. 5 words I've never been told before. Okay, let's break these down. Sin, repentance, goal, and God. And these are new phrases. Okay, why would this be? I think those are 4 words, but whatever. Okay, so this has oddly come up several times in the last couple weeks where I've had clients or students reach out to me and say, why do I keep hearing these words over and over and over again? So something is definitely going on, I think, with the astrology, where we're not everybody per se, but a lot of the signs, the zodiac, so look at your astrology, but are more tuned into the spirit world than they previously were. So whether you're having a full-blown kundalini or a download, at the very least, you're having a leveling up with your psychic, mediumistic, and empathic abilities. And one of the first things we start to notice is that repeat signs, symbols, or words can occur. This could also happen with your dreams, but this is called clairaudience. Clairaudience is the ability to hear spirit in your head as though it is your own thought. And everybody wants this ability, but once you have it, it can be very overwhelming. So you are able to hear in your mind, in your head, certain words, for example. And when your clairaudience is not really under control, you haven't learned what to do with it yet, okay? You will, like a mouse on a wheel, hear over and over and over again. It can be intrusive, okay? Like intrusive thoughts. So before you decide you have like a disorder, you start kind of losing it, okay? What we want to do is remember that every word is a symbol, or it has a deeper meaning. It's part of a bigger message. And we just want to break them down individually. Once you've done that, you've received the message, you've retrieved the information that the universe is trying to give you, then it will go away. So let's take a look at what these words are. You have the word sin, repentance, goal, and God. Well, so these are pretty basic ones. I could understand too why they would be annoying, because they seem very overwhelming, right? Or pushy, very sort of low vibrational unless, okay, you could turn it into something high vibrational. So I could see why this would bother you. But the idea of sin as a symbol, as a message, is more about the idea that your prosperity is being wasted, your ability to grow is being sidelined, that you are committing the ultimate sin, which is wasting your time. The idea of sin in universal order, not biblical order, not religious order, okay? There's no religion that I'm going to agree with on this particular word, okay? No. None of that. universal law. Universal law. When we talk about sin, we're talking about not fulfilling your life contract, not being on path, wasting your energy, not being able to have an attitude of gratitude, not fulfilling what you came here to do, not living in your highest vibration, not doing anything with your light work, not doing anything with your innate abilities, okay? Just not even fulfilling, possibly in this case, it looks like your relationship contracts. So there's a lot going on here. So your ultimate sin may be not fully developing yourself or pursuing what it is that you're supposed to pursue. When we look at repentance, what does that mean? Well, basically, it's the universe's way of saying, get your shit in order, okay? Pull it together. Whether it's pull up your bootstraps or it's like, get organized. It is your responsibility, and you have to hold yourself accountable for not having done that. Because certainly the universe overgives guidance and lets you know when it's time to make a change. So if you didn't do it, it is sort of your repentance, okay? Then the next word we see fits in with all of this is goal. So that's the next set of direction that they're giving you. You're being confronted, and here are the messages, but now what do you do with it? And this is the funny thing is, so many people think it's not worth listening to spirit or your psychic ability, but what else is there? Because it is automatically going to come with a roadmap, with directions. Always. The universe never drops you on that. And there it is, that your goals are not in order. And if you are struggling to set up long-term goals or to come up with a game plan as to how you're going to change these more immediate things, you need to go to God. And what does that mean, go to God? You could pray about it. You could sit for probably 15 to 20 minutes. And you may want to do this in like 2 or 3 separate sessions. I would not exceed that time frame. But you can, during that time, go to God. Where's God? Your higher mind. Go inside yourself. You could call in your ancestors. You could call in your guides. You could call in your angels. Everyone's there waiting to remind you of who you are, and what you're supposed to be doing, right? So this is basically saying to you, you need to pull it together, okay? You need to repent and make a serious game plan in a specific way so that the universe knows what you're doing. I warn you guys a lot about why your manifestation and law of attraction may not be working. And that often comes from a place of being like, I don't know. Well, if you tell the universe that you don't know what you want, that's what you're going to get, is either nothing or a hodgepodge of random things you really can't use. Not real opportunities, right? Not genuine people, not an increase in your finances. Like, you're not going to have any of that. So for the breakthroughs, you really have to know specifically what it is that you want. So get it in order and get yourself moving. And don't forget that when you are hearing, and this is for everybody, when you are hearing it over and over and over again, and you're seeing the same animal totems over and over, same numbers following you around over and over, you're having repeat dreams, whatever it is, it typically means you're on a deadline and you are probably about to miss it. And that has everything to do with your life contract. Okay. So when people book a life contract reading with me, I tell them at the beginning, before we even get started, if you have this happening to you, you have to understand that you are either at risk of not fulfilling something in your contract, or you are on a deadline. And everything within a contract is on a deadline. And you're going to want to take this very seriously, or you can't necessarily just like make it up or phone it in. You may have to reincarnate and do these things all over again. And we don't want to have to do that. All right. So absolutely pay attention, process it, and move. It is time to move forward. All right. Thank you so much for that question. I would love to know in the comment section, who else has had this lately? The fact that so many people have reached out with this in the last couple of weeks is really interesting to me. I'm going to have to look at the astrology and figure out what is happening. And if you're in the comment section and you're an astrologer, wherever you are, let me know which planets have shifted and into what houses to make people so much more like acutely aware of spiritual messaging, psychic intuitive increases and empathic increases in the last, I want to say 2 to 3 weeks. All right. Thanks so much, guys. So we're going to move on to another one. This one is from Kat Kelly. She says, what is the easiest way to find out your own life contract? Is it to look at the major trauma you've been through? Is that connected? So the way to look at your life contract is to book a life contract reading with me. That's a term that I use for the readings that I do, where I look at what it is that you signed on to before you came to Earth. Another way to look at your life contract is to go to a successful, accurate astrologer who can look at your Vedic or Western astrology. And if you can find a skilled numerologist, you can go and look at your numerology chart. So I've been testing these out for 13 years. They're all identical. Numerology, astrology, and a life contract with me, it's going to be identical, all the information. And what you need to decide before you go in, if you want to look at the trauma, you're probably going to want to talk more to an astrologer about that and have a look at your South Node. Your South Node is your past life stuff, unfinished business, and you're going to want to look at houses, in your astrology that can cause discomfort, pain, deals with trauma triggers, things like this. Family of origin, okay, stuff like that. When I do life contract reading, I'm focusing on your 5 to 6 pivotal points, which are your major level up opportunities, and your influential years that get you ready for that pivotal point. And it's in your influential years where we can deal with a lot of trauma. It's in those influential years where we try to process what happened and alchemize it or transmute it from negativity into positivity, again, to prepare us for the pivotal points. So yes, it is connected, absolutely, because we have to accept the reality that life is not rainbows and butterflies. And I know everyone here listening understands that, but to even strive for it is kind of ridiculous. We have to, more importantly, do the shadow work. We have to do the trauma work. We have to understand that healing is cyclical, not linear, right? It's like layers of an onion. It comes back around again and again. It's never just like a, one and done type of thing. We want to understand also that in our trauma is our power, and that in our trauma, we can figure out our purpose. And also, if you're going to get into something like healing work or ministry or anything like that, you're going to find your ministry in your trauma. So basically, the people that you're here to heal the most, your wisdom that you can give out is going to come through that trauma. And a lot of people don't realize that their biggest point of attack in their life contract, meaning from birth, is their moneymaker. So say, for example, you have something like the power of voice vibration, right? So if you speak, and this, I've seen this in astrology even show up as like a planet or a star. If you speak, people have to listen to you. This is just an example. If you speak, people get hypnotized and they have to listen to you. They don't have to agree with you. They don't have to want to listen to you, but they will listen to you. Okay. Say you have the power of voice vibration. That is not only your PowerPoint for creating a ministry, it is also your PowerPoint in a very lucrative way, where all your money is going to come through your voice. Well, that's also going to be your point of attack. So from birth, for example, you would have maybe parents or society or, at school, people are going to be shutting you down. They're going to be silencing you and making sure that your self-esteem is in the gutter so that you never dare speak up, things like this. So yeah, we want to look at our trauma points and we want to understand how it's connected to the bigger picture, which is like basically overcoming them, transmuting them is not only lucrative, it's also where our healing ability and our greatest stories lie. And that is not toxic positivity or wishful thinking. That's a fact. Okay. So great question. Absolutely. And that's for all of us. Okay. All right. We have any more coming in? We have one from Edgar Velarde. So if you guys are tuning in late, please give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment, subscribe. If you want to switch over here to my YouTube channel at Ask Ivy and hit that join button to become a member, you can check that out. Donations are appreciated, but not required for this show. And again, if you're tuning in late, I am giving advice on any question you have, and it can be specific too. So this is a play off the Dear Abby columnist. And so if you even have like a very oddly specific situation, that's going on in your life, these don't all have to be spiritual questions. Go ahead and post it. My beautiful producer, Jill, will be taking those from all platforms. Thank you for the hearts. and popping them up here. Thank you so much, guys. Keep tapping that screen and do share on TikTok. I appreciate you so much, always. All right, Edgar Velarde says, I've been having a reoccurring dream since I was a kid where I cannot walk, wondering if reoccurring dreams are connected to a past life. Well, you'd have to do a dream analysis and submit this, and, I'd have to take the time to do an actual reading on this. But you could do that on the website. And, it's possible it's connected to a past life, but the idea of not being able to walk almost really speaks for itself, no? That you have a situation in your life where you are feeling that your mobility has been stolen from you. Your power has been stolen from you. You have desire to do something else, but you're trapped. You're imprisoned. So what I always recommend in dream analysis is that you first look at when the dream began to occur, and then you want to look at every time after that it occurred, because it was probably like one incident, unless did he say he's been having this since childhood? If you are having something since childhood, okay, it was probably a family situation that triggered it, because who else are you around when you're a kid, right? Maybe something at school, if you're old enough to even be at school. But yeah, since you were a kid. Okay, there it is. Okay, since he was a kid. Edgar has been having this. So first thing we want to do is look at your family. What does your family do? Or what have they done to you? Because everyone in a family could get treated differently. It's like we're all living on different planets or something. One sibling gets treated well, the other one's the punching bag. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get. So you need to look specifically at your relationship to your family dynamics, starting with parents, then moving out to grandparents, aunties, uncles, bigger influences, then looking at siblings. And you want to see also how they treated you as a whole and what events were triggering. What was your role? Are you the scapegoat? Were you the golden child? Was there parentification? What areas were you shamed because your legs were taken? So you want to ask, what areas was I shamed? Where was I guilted? Where have I felt trapped by them? In a situation like this, it's highly likely it is connected to a past life or multiple past lives. Usually with a situation like this, we're reborn anywhere from some people can nail it and get rid of it in 2 to 3 lives. Other people, it's 6, 7, 8, 9 lives, so we just don't know. It depends on how you do. But this is definitely something you want to end. This is something you want to confront, not just in regards to your family dynamics and how you feel trapped by them or overly responsible for them, or you're having your power stripped when you deal with them. Okay. But even bigger than that, you want to look at how this has affected you out in the world. So you're not a little boy with no legs anymore. You're a grown man and you are functioning out in society, and you can still carry, that lingering attitude of being ineffective or having low self-esteem or, being triggered by so many things that make you feel disempowered. And you want to now start looking around you at where those stories lie, and then inside you, to correct them as you go. And while it may take a while, it may take a lifetime, I would say that it is well worth the effort, because what you ultimately want to do is to check this off your to-do list. You came to Earth to get this done. I'm sure it's connected to past life issues where it wasn't done then either. And you want to be able to say, this is not a karmic chapter I will be returning to. This is it, right? Definitely, I can tell you this, you're going to have to do a lot of boundary setting, not just with, family or the world around you, but with yourself. It's the way you talk to yourself, the way you handle yourself, because this gets deep down in there, and it affects the way you relate to oneself. So there's a big story here for sure. I would love to hear in the comment section if other people have had this. Sometimes you go through a work situation or a financial crisis or a health conflict. I'd like to hear from you guys too. And then you start having these types of dreams where you can't run, you can't scream, you go to punch somebody or something and your wrist is giving out, or you have no strength in your arm, or, you know, whatever it is, your power is being taken away. These are all the same thing, basically. All right. In different formats. And the original trigger is just that. The original trigger, in this case, family, is just the format through which you can learn to overcome this karma and go high vibration. So don't give them more power than what they deserve, or the situation, the obstacle itself, more power than what it deserves. Okay. All right, we're going to move on to another one from a Katie Schuler at 435. Katie Schuler, 435. I used to see spirits. At some point, I stopped. Is it possible to turn that ability on? So most of my students who come in for the psychic mediumship course, again, you can go to psychicmediumshipcourse.com. We are evergreen now. So you can join at any time. There are 2 different tiers to learning. Most of my students who come in have found that they had strong abilities as a child, and at some point it either completely disappeared or it's just not as good as it used to be, and they want to bring it back. What I do in the course is I remove your blocks. So blocks came into play probably from your parents telling you that your superpowers weren't real, or that there were no ghosts, and that there, you know, was no monster under the bed, and, you know, you don't have an imaginary friend. And then you go to school and your teachers and your friends who are also being brainwashed, they start to tell you that if you talk about that stuff, it's a sign of mental illness and you're going to like get locked up, or that it's super taboo. If your family is religious, or you go to a religious school, you know, they would tell you that that's demonic and that you're going to go to hell and that you're like a witch. I mean, people are nuts. Okay. That's it. They're mentally unstable. And it's because we have become so disconnected from our roots. That we're being raised generation after generation by all these toxic, disassociated, disconnected, unspiritual, you know, adults who have it wrong. And so that sinks in, and typically by the age of 5 or 6. Now, what happens in the course is that I'm going back and I'm removing, you have to be willing, of course, you know, to remove those blocks. And then I expose you to a series of exercises that triggers the ability. So it's sort of like opening up Pandora's box. Once you've opened up Pandora's box, there is no shoving the genie back in the bottle. So you need to be prepared for that and ready for that. And you would automatically remember and tap back into those natural abilities, those innate abilities that were once so strong for you. So it's a really good time to feel like you're becoming yourself again. You're back to who you authentically were or are, especially as a child. And those were your natural abilities. Now you can also, and through my method, it's called the PEC method, the Psychology of Energy Communication method. Through my method, we're also going to introduce you to other exercises and block removals where you can attain abilities you didn't previously have. And so, yes, that is possible too. So we want to look at a couple different things. First of all, we got to get rid of whatever's blocking you, because it was not your choice to shut off to this. Okay. Ultimately, you may have started blocking it on your own, but for survival's sake in society. All right. It still technically was not your choice. And then we want to look at the other areas where we want to increase. We want to also help you to get control. If it's out of control, it's way too much information. We got to get you in control. And, you know, where you don't have anything, we're going to trigger those. And once it's triggered again for good. So it only takes one time. All right. So it's very exciting, but you should be ready to fully embrace it, because it does become a full-time job for a while to learn how to reincorporate these things into your life and stay stable. All right. It's not, I'm not saying you take it that way, Katie, but like a lot of people do think it's like for entertainment, and it's not. It is very serious. Okay. So we're going to move on to another one. Hope to have you. Crystal Dawman says, why are some of us connected more to animals than people? Because animals are pure and people, speak for themselves. Because animals are more intelligent, and I'm aware. Yes, I'm aware that we are animals. So before anyone like goes in the comments, yeah, settle down. You know, the thing is, there are different levels of maturity. There are different levels of intelligence, and animals seem to have more intuitive intelligence. You know, they are more, I want to say, logical about things, whereas humans are emotion based, which makes humans very reactionary, which is dumb. That's low level junk. Okay. So animals, for example, they know to protect their ecosystem, right? They know to choose a higher vibrational path, and they instinctively and, you know, intuitively know how to protect their kind. Humans are dumb. Humans attack their kind. We've seen a system of toxic patriarchy, for example, running the world for so long that they are literally, I mean, it's one genocide after another, right? Just trying to wipe out different groups for more power, more money. Look at the level of hate. All of that comes from insecurity. So like the Christian white male is the most insecure, right? Of all the people. And so they have to prove their power over and over again and hurt people and wipe different groups of people out, right? To maintain that power. That's a lot of work. And in the process of doing so, they are not only killing all the other humans, they are not only killing off the wise people of the earth, but they're destroying like the environment, the ecosystem, the planet they live on. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, okay? They're done. They need to be removed from those positions. And we're in the process of doing it. The revolution has begun, okay? January 20th, the age of Aquarius, right? Pluto in Aquarius. So we're in it now, and good luck to them. All right. But, you know, they're going to put up a fight for sure. And what you have probably felt your whole life, all of us have, because we were born into that toxic patriarchal system, for example, is that we don't really like people, or we're suspicious of people, or you feel like people are always trying to hustle you. And that's not only maybe true in individual circumstances, but it's true as a collective. So animals are smart because they take care of the collective, right? Animals are high vibrational because they protect the environment. And you don't get that with people. So they're dumb, they're low level energy, they're reactionary. And when you're trapped in a system that is ruled by a group of people who are the lowest of the low, the most reactionary, the most abusive and toxic, the lowest self-esteem, the least evolved, even those who could be of a higher vibration may be reactive to that abuse. And they too affect negatively the collective. It's sort of like having a narcissist abuse you in a family dynamic or a marriage or a relationship. And I think it's called reactive narcissism. Correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong, or if you know what term this is. This is like some kind of, it's an actual term. So anyways, a lot of people start to think that they are a narcissist because they are being abused by a narcissist. So they start acting out of character. You understand what I'm saying? Someone could tell me what the heck this word is. What is it? Reactive narcissism, right? So it's kind of like that. That's what you're feeling, Crystal, is that even the people who could potentially be of a higher vibration around you are reacting to the toxicity of the patriarchy and capitalism and things like this. And so it's tainted, and you just don't want to have anything to do with it. Okay. I don't blame you. Also, we see that with animals, there is I say it's the triad. Okay. It's like the triad of healing entities in the universe. So you have angels, who are the healing entities of the universe. They really look more like aliens, long faces, long arms. They're very tubular, right? So these light beings are the healing entities of the universe, and they're at the top of the tier. Underneath them, working in different dimensions, but especially on the earth plane, are empaths and animals. So empathic people, especially at the higher levels, the third and the fourth levels, are the healers of the world. Okay. And working in conjunction with the higher level empaths are animals. So animals come in to help you as an empath who's offering healing to the world to recuperate, to get your energy back. Animals will remove disease from your body. Okay. If you've ever been sick and like your dog or your cat is like sitting on that part of your body, right, that needs the healing, or you broke your foot or something, they will not get off of you. That's because they're trying to give you obsessively, even invasively, even the healing energy that you need. And they know that. Okay. If your cat's always sleeping on your head, it could be that you're having some logical issues or some, trauma going on up here. So we intuitively know that the animals are safe, that they're a higher vibration. And if you are a higher level empath, you are automatically going to know that you're supposed to be working with the animals. You give out healing to the world around you or to the people, yes, but you actually work with the animals. Okay. Hope that makes some sense. I think a lot of people feel that. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. Do you also experience this? Who prefers animals to people? Who prefers the company of your pet to going to a party or something, right? Probably most of us tuning in here. All right, let's move on. Do we have any more coming in? All right, we got another one here from a Toby. How do you know if you're using precognitive intuition or if you're manifesting situations? I love this question so much. Jill, please leave this up on the screen. How do you know if you are creating something or if you just picked up on it psychically that it was going to happen? Absolutely. This happens all the time and people misread it. So we talk about this a lot in the psychic mediumship course. How do you know where it's coming from? And my students are required to know exactly where it comes from. It's called identifying source. So you have to get educated enough. And the only way to really do that is to like watch yourself and clock yourself and journal it out and to keep track of it. And one of the ways to do that is to figure out whether or not something you had a vision about, you had a prophecy about, you had a psychic prediction about, whether or not it happens. So you can watch something occur, typically in a very short period of time, to when you had the vision, and you can know that you didn't spend a bunch of time manifesting that. You didn't get a notepad and pen or a vision board. You didn't come up with a mantra. You didn't care. You knew it was going to happen. You know what I mean? You didn't create it. You just knew it was going to happen. That means that your clairvoyance showed you this occurrence, and then it occurred. And you are able to then say, okay, I have the gift of prophecy. I predicted this thing. Okay. If there's ever any doubt about that, look at the size, the scope of the thing that occurred. Like a huge world event, like something that is not easy for you to manifest. It wouldn't be easy for a billion people collectively to manifest. Okay. So look, try to look at the bigger things if you're confused on this, but typically, you know, the difference just even based on what I just said. Okay. So you thought about something and then it occurred. It can even be something simple, like the way most people are getting it is that they think the phone is going to ring, or they think of someone they haven't seen in like 20 years. And like, then the phone does ring, or this person shows up and sends them a Facebook friend request. And you're like, oh my God, I literally just thought of this person. I haven't thought of them in 20 years. And here they are on my Facebook. Like, what is going on? Or a movie pops in your head and you're like, that's weird. I haven't watched that movie in like 10 years. And then all of a sudden it's like on your Netflix list or something, I don't know, is available, it can be smaller things like that too. So you want to start keeping note on when you do this and noticing this is a huge difference. That lighthearted thing that popped in your head that then occurred, right? Or that prophecy, that vision that you had that you weren't manifesting at all, that then occurred. That is a completely different story than when you decide that there's something you want or you need. You become fixated on creating it, and you start utilizing universal laws in order to make it happen. And you go through a period of time, typically, where you master different skills in universal law, and you clear out and unblock your karma. You get rid of unfinished business. You got to check some things off your list. You're removing blocks and obstacles to make room for the new. Okay, because every time the bus stops, somebody's got to get off. In order for a new door to open, another door has to close. You've done the work, and now your manifestation appears. That is a completely different ballgame, right? But what a lot of people do is they get to thinking, and this could be God complex. This could be, I see this a lot with ego, okay? People start to think, well, I created that. Well, I did that. It's like, no, you probably didn't. But also people will do it feeling guilty that maybe they thought negatively on someone, or they hated someone, or someone who did them dirty. They like wish negative karma onto them. And they're like, oh, you're going to get yours. And then like this person gets in a car accident, or they have some horrible disease, or something terrible happens to them. And then people are like, oh my God, I have survivor's guilt. Like I caused that. Doubtful. Okay. Very, very doubtful. Very doubtful. Karma does exist outside of you as well. Karma will always be delivered. And so just because you have feelings about something doesn't mean you created it. And it's hard to manifest. So mostly people who make this mistake tend to feel that they're far more powerful than what they are, you know, and they really need to break it down in these two separate categories and get educated on where it's coming from and how it's happening at all. So that is such a great question. Love it. Love it. Thank you, Toby. All right, we're going to move on to another one from Inspired Soul. How can I tell the difference between my guides and ancestors versus other spirits asking for help? So again, this is part of the psychic mediumship course. And again, you guys could post questions on anything. So if something has going on with your work, if something's going on in a relationship, this is a play off of the Dear Abby columnist, okay, who would give advice on different situations. This is not necessarily just a spiritual show or a supernatural show. So you don't have to just ask spiritual questions. It could be on anything that's going on. So Inspired Soul wants to know, how can I tell the difference between my spirit guides and ancestors versus other spirits that are asking for help? Well, other spirits are typically not really asking you for help. Earthbound spirits, if there's a paranormal problem, they may be asking you for help. Spirits aren't asking for your help. They don't need your help. They don't want your help. They could be trying to pass a message on through you to someone who needs help. So you may think they need help when in actuality, they're trying to help a living human being. So you need to get skilled in your mediumship. You need to learn the lost language. So again, psychicmediumshipcourse.com, okay? You need to understand that within the lost language, there are also 3 different types of communication. So intuitive intelligence includes empathic ability, psychic ability, and mediumistic ability. And within each of those 3 categories, we have to break it down piece by piece by piece by piece. So each category is all these different ways that the information comes through. And then you have to learn how to utilize that language to formulate a helpful message or action, and then learn how to give that out. So there's a whole heck of a lot going on there before you're really going to know the difference. But the idea that your guides and ancestors are only here to take care of you is the best place for you to start. So your guides and ancestors don't care about Tommy. They don't care about Jolene. They don't care about, you know, they don't care. And it is an opportunity for you anytime you're hearing from them to build the relationship and the language between you and your guides, you and your ancestors, because they each communicate, you know, differently as well. So start learning those languages by paying attention to the signs and symbols they use. Does grandpa communicate through numbers? You know, does your one guide communicate through animals? You know, does this one ancestor only come to you in dreams or in readings? You know, how are they communicating? Because what spirit likes to do is use patterns so that there's clarity and distinction, not only clarity in what they're trying to say, but distinction between them and other spirits. So you're never confused. So it's not them that's confused. It's us. it's we that haven't done our part to learn the language, again, because society took it from us. It was stolen from us. So get educated on the language in those 3 different categories, learn how to break it down, and also pay attention. Something on my lip that's irritating me. Also pay attention to what's going on in your life at the time, because you're going to hear from your ancestors and your guides when there's change brewing, when you're approaching a deadline, when you're going in the wrong direction, when you have a big opportunity coming in, when you need some healing. They're going to be there for that. But if you've ever gone through a period of time in your life when you felt like spirit wasn't coming to you at all, and you were like, crickets, what's wrong, and nothing was wrong, that's because you were probably just playing things out in your life contract. There wasn't a lot of change happening. You didn't really need them. So they're not really around all the time. They're around in a purposeful way. And if they're coming to you, they're coming to you for something about you. Those are your spirits. That's your team. Okay. Versus, I don't know, other spirits that may just be like earthbound and creating some paranormal drama, or they may be trying to reach out to you to go through you to someone else, but they never like need you. They never like need us to do something for them. People get very tied up too, and this isn't really a message for you, inspired soul, as much as like a lot of other people I know who are very much into like the paranormal world. A lot of people get tied up on this question into feeling like it is their duty to help like earthbound spirits and earthbound children to cross to the other side. And, I must heal them. You have to be very careful that that's not like a shapeshifter. Most of the spirits that come to us that look like wounded little children are actually something quite dark. Okay. So they're playing your emotions. And your fantasy of sort of participating in that world on a higher vibration, a higher level of hierarchy there. And that is putting you in great danger. So know that, 99.999% of the children who die, for example, they cross over automatically onto the other side. They don't need your help. And, spirits that are ever reaching out to you, needing something from you, that is a paranormal situation you're going to want to look into. Okay. Totally different ballgame. All right, we're going to move on to another one. Thank you for that question. This is from Danny Spoons. I have been seeing bright orbs in the sky and in the woods with no light, wondering what they are. Well, if you are awake, what you're probably seeing is more from the spirit world. Deceased people tend to take on that form of orbs. So if they're around you quite a lot, and this is happening, for example, in the house, in your car, wherever you go, if someone takes a picture, you're taking a selfie or whatever, and it's like, there it is, those are probably more your spirits, your people, your deceased loved ones, your ancestors, things like this. When you're out and about and you're seeing them in the world, you could be in a very active spot where there's a lot of land activity or a land issue, possibly even burial ground, or, it's a very active, I like to say some spots are like Grand Central Station, especially if there are train tracks or water nearby. If there are a lot of brick houses nearby, you're going to see more of that. And we could be looking at spirits that were once connected more to the land. Okay. That can happen. It could also be more elementals, especially if you're talking about like being in the woods, being out in nature. You could be picking up also on angels. You could be picking up on spirits that are not necessarily there to show you that they're there, but they're just kind of minding their own business and they're living their life, and they get a lot of their energy from the woods. We all do. When we say things like nature is my church, what we mean is that that's where I go to recuperate. A lot of people go to an actual church and they sit in there, and they wait to receive something from God. Well, when we go into nature, we're automatically interacting. It's a two-way street. We release what we want to let go of, and we gain our power and our energy source from nature. So it's a source of healing. And so these orbs, the spirits, you can more easily see them in an atmosphere like that. But that doesn't necessarily mean, again, that they're trying to communicate. So you would want to, be in those types of environment more if you are trying to increase your psychic, mediumistic, or empathic ability, because we feed what we want more of. Okay. What we feed, we get more of. And so this could be an environment where you could increase your skills significantly if now you're starting to see orbs. Very interesting. I would love to hear in the comments if anyone has, especially in photographs, orbs following them. I've known a few people and they're always old souls. I've known a few people who, no matter where they were, okay, they had a ton of orbs in every picture you take of them. And it's like, okay, these are spirits that sort of follow them. They have a little entourage. But yeah, it could happen at any time, anywhere. Interesting. All right, we're going to move on to another one. See, Tanya B says, I highly prefer animals over most people. I have a cat, Lovey, that will meow like crazy and crawl onto my chest when I am upset or crying, and she seems to hate it. Yes, because it is their duty to fix it. They don't know how to stop. They're so sweet. Yeah, I see a bunch of comments coming in here too. We have a ward. So my love, what is the more alive, difficult times? A tear is that beautiful smile. I don't know what this person's talking about. I'm not crying over anything, but thank you for your concern. We have a few more here I see a lot of comments on the animals, and people saying, yeah, I work at a rescue. Okay. Things like this. So, we want to remember that I feel like a general theme of today's show. I don't think I've done a Dear Ivy yet where it took on so much like spiritual tone, where these were all like spiritual, metaphysical, paranormal questions. Usually the questions here are like, this is happening in my workplace. This happened with relationship I have, or like, what is the, what should I do in this situation? So that's fine. I love these questions, but I do notice when I answer a lot of questions like this, we start to see patterns. And I would say that with today's show, we have a general theme coming up here that people are hearing more, clairaudience, repeat words. They're seeing more in not only how their psychic ability is predicting things, but they're seeing that the world around them has high vibration and low vibration. And if we are all in a period of time, and we are, okay, again, because the revolution has started January 20th, yes. We want to ask the right questions about all of this. Yes, what does it mean? Okay, but ultimately, what am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with it from here? Okay, how do I use this information? So you guys play with your psychic, mediumistic, and empathic ability. Intuitive intelligence is what's going to heal the world. 100%. None of this other stuff is going to matter if we don't get it right at the roots. Okay, so I hope to see you for class and back here at more of these shows. Next time I will see you, I will have my new camera. I will have my new computer all set up, and that's going to be next Thursday for Late Night Circus episode number 2. If you missed Late Night Circus episode number 1, go check it out. It's on my YouTube channel at Ask Ivy. Thank you so much, Jill, for taking everyone's questions. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'll see you next time.